Welcome, everyone, to 1 Million Cups. Real quick, show of hands, first-time visitors. Love it. Okay, if this is your first time, let me give you a real quick update as to what 1 Million Cups is. Basic idea is that we are here for the community of entrepreneurs to give back and to connect and to learn from a community of entrepreneurs. Each week we get together at the same time. Every week, we've only missed 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks in the last however many months, with getting together, having 2 entrepreneurs present each week, each Wednesday morning, same time, same place. They get 6 minutes to present, and then 20 minutes of Q&A. So what that means is that after our entrepreneurs present, there's a break. And then you guys get to ask questions. And please, please, please ask questions. As much as possible, just some logistics. Try to either get to one of these mics, which we're having trouble with some of those, or speak loudly, and we'll try to have the presenters repeat the questions so that we can get it on live stream. We do live stream these events, and I think on average we have 30 to 40 people watching from there as well. So make sure that you tell anyone that is not here, make sure you tweet it out at 1 Million Cups or hashtag 1MC. And tell people that they can watch on live stream as well. I've got a couple announcements real quick. Just some housekeeping things. Because we are so thankful to Kauffman that we get to be here, we do want to be as respectful as possible of the space. So when you are leaving, please take your coffee cups with you. Try to push in your chairs. Just be nice people to these lovely people that are letting us use their space. What else? Oh, some cool announcements. The Bradfeld's house, we finally has a winner. Mike Dean and his team handprint out of the many people that applied for that are going to be moving in, I heard, pretty soon. They just got fiber connected, and they're going to be moving into the house. They're going to start hacking away and making their product even more amazing, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with in that space. Also, we have some visitors this week, and I know we wanted to do a quick announcement. If I could have Hunter come up. Yeah. We have some visitors in this week from the coast, and they're going to be spending some time this afternoon at the Kansas City Startup Village, and they are here to see what the heck is going on here in Kansas City. So I'll give the mic over for just 2 seconds.
Hey, Hunter Walk, in from San Francisco with a group of friends. Really excited. Thank you so much for hosting us here at the Kauffman Foundation. We had a chance to check out some of the Fiber Village yesterday, and I think everybody immediately started watching YouTube videos. So hopefully today we can look at what some of the entrepreneurs are up to. And amazing just to see the spirit, both online and offline, of what's going on here. So thanks for having us over.
We're really happy that they're here visiting. Okay, let's get to the reason you're here, which is to hear entrepreneurs. So I got a chance to meet with Steven and Kristen, gosh, it's been a couple months ago. And they were telling me about this idea that they have with working with students and doing bilingual, and it hit home for me because my sister is an ESL teacher and is married into a family where they're bilingual, and I have no idea what they're saying most of the time. And I keep thinking, I wish my kids could learn it. I've got 3 little girls, and so this is a perfect opportunity for them to talk about where they're heading with TLP kids. I'll give it over to them. We'll give them a warm welcome, please.
I think we're both on. Yeah?
We're good. Bienvenidos a 1 millón de tazas. Me llamo Kristen, y eso es Steven.
As Kristen said, my name is Steven Fuller, and this is Kristen Farrell. Just for full disclosure, we are brother and sister. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys to the Language Project today. The mission of the Language Project is to create bilingual children ages 18 months to 11 years by offering a classroom environment that allows children to see, hear, touch, and play while being immersed in the Spanish language.
So I have a couple of questions for you. What do you call somebody who knows 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call somebody who knows 2 languages? Bilingual. So what do we call somebody who only knows 1 language? An American, that's right. As sad as that joke really is and how we poke fun at ourselves, this really is how, why TLP came about and where our story starts. I'm Kristen Farrell, and I'm the company director for the Language Project. The owner is Sarah Greenwood, and as you can see, she's not here today. I'm not smuggling her in. She is actually in Sevilla, Spain, where she lives and runs our foreign language academy there, teaching English. Sarah and I met in college. I was an education major, and she majored in Spanish and business, and we just both have a passion for education and language learning. And so that really was fueled into a business relationship last year when she began to look into bringing the Language Project to the children of the United States and bringing her passion for language learning overseas back to where she would call home. So let's go back to the joke. Do you remember my joke I just told? How many of you have tried to learn a language at a later age? It's really difficult, and there's a reason why it's really difficult. There is a critical period for language learning that starts at birth and ends at about age 11 is what research shows us. And we aren't starting to teach our children foreign languages until they're basically in high school, so age 13 or 14. And so it's really hard for them to learn another language and actually become fluent because we're missing the period of time where your brain actually takes in and absorbs language learning.
Unfortunately, the American way of language learning has become patriotized. Our greatest competition is not other education systems. That would be awesome, because as business owners, we all know competition only breeds more competition, which breeds business. Our greatest competition is the American way of thinking. This is a map from the 2000 census. All of the peach area there, you may notice the leading language spoken at home other than English is Spanish. With 329 million native speakers, Spanish ranks as the second most spoken language in the world in terms of how many people speak it as their first language. Spanish has at least 3 million native speakers each in 44 countries, making it the fourth most graphically spoken language right behind English. Hispanics constitute more than 16.7% of the nation's total population. The projected Hispanic population in the United States in 2050, when your grandkids are all doing business, is 30% of the nation's population. The number of Hispanics counted during the 2010 census was 50.5 million. We have the second largest Hispanic population in the world, second only to Mexico. 50.5 million people. In today's world, opportunities in higher education in the global marketplace increasingly require multilingual skills. According to the U.S. Committee on Economic Development, America will need employees with knowledge of foreign languages and cultures to market products to customers around the globe and to work effectively with foreign employees and partners in other countries. Unfortunately, the U.S. education system lags far, far behind. 21 of the top 25 industrialized countries begin the study of world languages in grades K through 5, while the majority of U.S. students begin studying a second language at age 14. Remember what Kristen said about learning a language after the age of 11? 80% of students in Europe speak at least 2 languages, making it easier for companies to do business elsewhere and outsource jobs. This is an efficiency and a profitability issue. Learning a second language is no longer a luxury. It is a necessary skill that students must have in order to compete in the global economy. It broadens their opportunities in higher education, and research shows that learning a second language helps children in their overall cognitive development.
So we've come up with a solution to this problem. And it basically is really simple. We want to begin language learning programs with our children today instead of waiting until they're in high school. Children who study a foreign language show greater cognitive development. They actually perform better on standardized testing. They get higher scores. They also have a better self-concept and overall sense of achievement. And they have a higher chance of attaining native and even fluency in the language that they're learning than we would as an adult going into language learning. So it's really important for us to begin language learning while they're still actually children. What our process is we go into a daycare, a school, a community center, and we offer language learning by providing a native speaking teacher or a strongly bilingual teacher. We bring in all of the materials and we teach the children language learning the way that they learn the best, through play. So we sing songs, we dance. We were going to do one of our songs for you, but we had some technical difficulties. But we get them engaged. We make them enjoy language learning by activating the part of their brain where they learn the best, which is through play. So we're dancing and singing with them, and basically we take our materials. They're learning through workbooks, but we don't drill like a lot of other programs where you just sit down and you do flashcards and you learn vocabulary. They actually learn through full immersion. So the entire time that we're there with them, we are speaking Spanish to them and we're playing with them in the language, which is really important, and it sets us apart from a lot of other programs. We are currently bootstrapping this business. So every program that we open up, every school that we get into allows us to expand basically debt-free. Our current markets right now we're in Kansas City. We have 8 programs here. We're in Baltimore, Maryland, where we have 2 programs, and we're about ready to launch a bunch of programs in Baltimore. And then we have 4 programs going in Lincoln, Nebraska right now. Our projected programs or projected cities that we're moving into is Omaha, Nebraska. We have some feelers out for some schools there. We're also working on Overland Park, Kansas, and Olathe, Kansas, as well as Des Moines, Iowa, and looking into eventually moving into St. Louis. Because we have already had schools that are interested in the program in those areas. We've been getting some interest from schools in Chicago and Denver, and we're just we want to maintain our growth in the cities that we're in right now, and really kind of protect our brand, because we've also had people asking to buy our curriculum. So that's kind of where what our growth looks like, and you can actually visit our website to check out the schools that we're in. The postcards that you have at your seats tell you where we're at in Kansas City right now. We're also, our 5-year plan looks like, first off, we want to be in the elementary schools. That's really important. We want to be in surrounding elementary schools in the cities that we're in right now. So that's one of our first goals. Our second goal is to start looking into adult programming, which is how we started over in Spain, was offering adult programming and moving into programming for children. And our third goal within the next 5 years is to start looking into selling curriculum and possibly franchising. So that's really what we're looking at over the next 5 years.
Other monetizing avenues that we have set up right now, we just finished recording a CD. Our second CD, didn't get to hear the song off the first one. It's where some of the learning stuff comes from that we do with the kids. We want to sell it digitally as well as physically in markets, stores, schools, kind of wherever we have programs and in areas. As far as the marketing goes, one of the biggest areas of growth that we've seen has been in our Facebook page, which we took over as Fuller Creative. Again, Kristen's my sister. Sarah came to my brother and I, Kevin, last year and asked us to help brand out everything and design out their learning materials. So this is part of the branding. As you can see, we have, since taking over their Facebook page, we've grown the traffic about 400%. It's directly transitioning into sign-ups on the website, which has been awesome. Our traffic in Spain is a lot higher. They seem to communicate a lot more via social media than some of our parents here, but we do see it growing every day. This is the TLP Twitter page. You can follow us at TLP Kids right now, today. We would love it if everyone did. Throughout the week, you'll find videos, lessons, conversation, and then information from some of our partners as well. And then this is just a view of kind of the learning materials that we use. If anybody wants to, you're welcome to come up front. We've got some trifolds as well as some of the learning materials up here that you can thumb through as well.
So I know they're going to ask the question, so when we close, I'm going to go ahead and open and let you know how 1 Million Cups and the community here can help the language project. And the first and most important thing that you can do is start talking about language learning. Start having those conversations. We've given you a lot of statistics and a lot of information on why language learning is important and why you should be passionate about it for the youth of Kansas City and for the youth of the United States. And so go out and spread the word and start having those important conversations. And then talk about the language project and what we're doing to solve that problem. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and get the word out. And we're really looking for people to help us with connections. We would really like to get connected more with the school administrators, the districts, the schools. We are in the Liberty Public School District right now, which is fantastic. We're looking to add every school district in this area. So if you know people in governing bodies, in legislature, let them know that we're out here and we're going to solve this problem. And if you can give us their information, that would be extremely helpful to us as well. We'd also like to hear from anybody that knows how to get in contact with bilingual teachers. You may be surprised, but we're having a really hard time finding strongly bilingual teachers to teach our classes for us. We're trying multiple avenues, but we're up for suggestions. If you know somebody that's bilingual that's looking to be a part of a program like this, please send them our way. I think that's basically what you guys can do for us. Make language learning important in your family and the children that you know. That is most important to us. And so start that today. Don't wait for high school to start. Thanks, guys.
Open up for questions.
Preguntas? Anybody? Yeah.
Are the school districts your clients? Do they buy your programs?
Sure. I would say our school districts are clients is what he's asking. We have school districts are our clients, daycares are our clients, but probably our top clients are our parents. Because we do have programs that are open to the public, and when we go into a daycare to offer this program, it's usually the daycare is offering it as an extra sign up that parents can sign their students up to attend Spanish class 1 day a week. Some schools in the Kansas City area, for example, Spectrum Station, they have made the decision that language learning is extremely important, and so they have bought the program to be offered for all of their preschoolers. So all 150 of their students are taking Spanish on a weekly basis. So the schools, the daycares, they're our clients, but the parents, we have grandparents that sign their grandchildren up. So that's kind of what our client base is right now. You had a question?
Yeah, can you share a little bit about the economics, like what it costs, what the model is like?
Absolutely. He's asking me to share a little bit about cost, the economics of it. We charge a fee per session for the students to do 12 weeks of the program. Right now, every area is kind of different. We've based it off of sort of cost of living. But our goal is language learning, and so we want to make it affordable and not something that is an extreme cost to parents. So we have, in this area, it runs about $150 for the 12-week session. That's once a week of an hour of language learning with the teacher, and it also includes all of their materials. On top of the materials that Fuller Creative did for us, we also offer audio links as part of their session. And so every other week we're emailing the parents audio links, which is like electronic flashcards of the language of what they're learning in their class that week, so that they can also reinforce it at home, be encouraging that child to use those words in their everyday life. We feel like in order to make it affordable, we wanted to offer a way for it to be cut down a little bit instead of a parent paying a full $150 in one payment. We actually do a 3-month automatic payment plan. So it's $45 to $50 a month, and it just comes out automatically. That has been a great decision. So far, the parents, we've seen a lot of positive response from that. Does that sort of, okay.
Just to put that in perspective a little bit, I don't know if you guys have kids, but to put your kids in after school in the Northland, it's $150 a week. That's what we were paying to have our son when we were up there at Gashland. We're down here now, and my son goes to the Foreign Language Academy, again, because we believe that language learning is so important.
Yes, sir.
You said that you have a 12-week program, but you have multiple progressive 12-week programs. If I sign up, I guess now I should say my hypothetical grandkid, for 12 weeks, and I think it's great. Let's do it again. Did they get another different curriculum?
Yes, they do. So the
and how
sessions.
many weeks can you go?
Absolutely. So he's asking, if they do the 12 weeks, then what happens? And do we have it on a progression? So basically, every school kind of starts at a different time. So when we start at a school, they do the first 12-week session, and our curriculum builds on itself. So we have multiple sessions written where they'll do the first session, and then we try not to take any time off, because if you take time off in language learning, some of it is lost. So it actually then builds on itself, and they start a new 12-week session with new curriculum. We have programs that are open to the public, and for children, we have found that they can pretty much jump in. So if we had a parent that we started 2 weeks before, but they're really wanting to enroll, we'll enroll them and then kind of give them the back vocabulary and things that they've sort of missed so that they can jump back in, because children are really good at just jumping in and picking up where you are. So the sessions do build on themselves, and we have multiple years of curriculum written so that they can continue in their language learning. Does that get you? Okay.
And summer camp enrollment is starting now.
Yeah, we have summer camp enrollment, and we have a program open to the public in Lee Summit starting on the April 22nd. So once a school wants to start, in business, you don't say no. You say yes, and I've got you started in 2 weeks, and you figure out how to get everybody together for that process. So, yes,
so
sir.
Considering your growth in Baltimore, I'm assuming you guys have reached out to the Sylvan Learning Centers in some way, and if you have, what does that look like? What have they said? Is there an option to kind of license it to them and get
Sure.
out there faster?
Sure, right. So he's asking about our Baltimore area. Oh, you guys heard, you're on the microphone, so I don't have to repeat. Basically, in the Baltimore area, every area is completely different, and every school is different. So we have to, instead of being black and white, we have to be very gray, and we have to kind of have a yes personality. So in Baltimore, we're kind of dealing with they have rec councils there. So to get into schools, to get into their community centers and their programs, we have major hoop jumping that we do in order to get in there. We haven't contacted Sylvan, and we haven't started really working towards selling the programming and kind of licensing it out to other programs, because we're a year in and we're still trying to kind of protect that brand that we have right now, because we don't know what we're worth. And so we're sort of trying to figure all of that out, but we haven't reached out to Sylvan yet. So basically, we're doing kind of door-to-door sales to get into these schools, and cold calling, and taking the connections that people give us and sort of really running with them. And with Liberty Public, it took us over 6 months to get in and to kind of crack their code. So once we sort of get in and start communicating, it does take a while to get the program up and running.
But it is important to Dallas Dance. Their
Yeah.
superintendent just made a big speech a couple weeks ago about the importance of language learning and technology. So that is a direction that we are working right now, is to try to get in with the school district while they also are thinking that this is very important.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yes. So you're working with the Lee Summit School District?
We are. So he asked about if we're working with Lee Summit School District. All of the area school districts have our proposal in their hands. So we're chipping away at all of the surrounding school districts in all of the areas that we're in right now. And basically it's send an email, follow up with a call, find them on Twitter. Because I think I heard a statistic, and I think it was from my pastor, is somebody has to see your product or hear what you have to say 5 times before they'll really even sort of react to it or put it into their brain. So we have multiple avenues that we try to sort of get our name out there and get them started working.
Just so behind you has been.
Yes, sir.
What about in-home daycares? Do you have programs for that?
We have, so he asked about in-home daycares. We do have some in-homes that are interested right now. The problem with in-homes is that they have a very small amount of children and they have a very large variety of ages. So they may have one 3-year-old, one 8-year-old, one infant. And so what we offer to them is sort of a private tutoring situation. So we're not closing that door. It's just a little bit more difficult to offer it to an in-home, which is why we have programs that are open to the public so that we can say, we're excited that you're interested. Do you want to take your in-home students to Firehouse Center for Creative Excellence in Kearney? Do you want to go to Paradise Park? So we're working with them on those things. And we do offer private tutoring, private in-home tutoring for families. And we have multiple families that choose that option.
We've got time for one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned their interest in being in all the school districts. So what sort of professional development do you provide your teachers for working with, the diversity of kids that you will interact with who have emotional disorders and a variety of learning abilities and behavioral issues? Our school districts are all over the country, not just in Kansas City, are really struggling with a lot of violence. And so how do you differentiate instruction in classrooms like that?
Right. So she's asking, how do we kind of deal with being in the school districts with a variety of children from a variety of backgrounds, dealing with behaviors and different cultures and things like that. So I would say that the good thing is that most of our teachers we look for people that have a background in education, a background working with children. So we're not only looking for Spanish speakers, we're also looking at what their background is. So in that process, we get teachers that are trained and that do have that knowledge and background. With my education, I spend time training them on how to handle situations. We have different policies put in place for the safety of the students and how we deal with somebody who may be a little bit rowdier. And so we do cover that in our training. Our teachers do extensive online training on not only teaching our program, but also on classroom management tools and techniques. And we also get all of our teachers together multiple times a year and have a conference where we'll sit and meet and talk about different things that we've seen over the last 6 months, how we can help them and how we can work through those problems. We haven't had a great amount of problems in the school district currently. We are in the Lincoln Public School District in Nebraska as well, so we've had interactions with 2 school districts. And kids aren't perfect. I have 7-year-olds, so I get it. But we work through those problems, and our children love the class, and that's what's going to keep them from getting out of hand and getting rowdy, is that we're keeping them engaged, and every 10 minutes they're moving on to a new activity. And so that if you can keep them engaged and keep that passion going, that's what's really going to help us in classroom management. Is that kind of answer? Okay.
Great job. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Before we get to the fun and exciting announcements, I still have 2 cars in the parking lot with lights on, just so you guys know. Still the Chevy Lumina it's tannish gray. It's WE9V45. And then I have a light blue Mazda 323 with a Missouri plate of HJ5C8E that's in the lot over in the gardens that has lights on. So if you guys don't want a dead battery, go find your car and turn the lights off. And here we go. Thanks, guys.
All right, we have an announcement for Hack of the Sexes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erica, and this is Jason. And our other organizer, Sarah, couldn't make it today, but she says hi. And we are organizing Hack of the Sexes, which is not this weekend, but next weekend, so the 26th and 27th of April. Basically, what Hack of the Sexes is it's a hackathon, but I mean, I prefer to call it like a build-a-thon because it's not necessarily about hacking things and developing. It's more about building something. So we're really trying to focus on gender diversity and equality in the tech industry here in Kansas City because we know it's a little unequal right now. So we really want to promote women and just getting a really good mix of people at this competition. And then secondly, we're working on building a solution to a civic problem here in Kansas City, Missouri. And we've got a lot of support from the city, and they're giving us a huge list of problems that they actually want us to work on. So we're really excited about this, and Jason's going to tell you a little bit more about that.
So as entrepreneurs, we've all thought about solutions to problems in our city that affect our everyday lives, right? But who wants to work with the city? Because cities are a pain in the butt to work with. Well, we're changing that. And here's the deal. The city of Kansas City, Missouri has been tremendously supportive of this competition. They were the first to step up before any of our corporate sponsors to financially invest in this competition. So think about that, a city organization being the first to step up and invest in an entrepreneurial community. It says a lot about Rick Usher and the team that Sly has put together in the mayor's office. That's really cool. We're excited about their support. And so this competition is a great opportunity for you to work on and promote your ideas and present them to the people that care. As Erica mentioned, this competition is unique because half of the signups so far are women. So guys, if you want to meet girls, this is the place to do it. But studies have shown that gender mixed teams in tech and entrepreneurship actually produce better results. So if you have a gender biased team, you have an opportunity to improve that by bringing in more women, or because most of us are guys. So anyways, we're really excited about this event. It's a week and a half away. Now's the time to sign up. We're giving away 2 slots this morning. If you tweet us at Hack of the Sexes, #BuildKC, with your idea on how to make the city a better place to live.
Thanks, guys. Tom Rue has an announcement for us this morning.
I just want to follow up on the plug here. I think the Hack of the Sexes, we're going to be hosting it here in Labs. Should be a really good time. Let's show what we can do in a gender diversified environment, and I think it's going to be a nice sample that we can share with the rest of the world. Very quickly, I mentioned several months back we were working on a Skunkworks project with our good friends at RareWire for a mentoring application. Some of you here may have recalled that we were doing that. I'm happy to report that we're getting ready to go live. It's going to be the app is going to get pushed into the App Store, I think in about 24 hours. I want to pre-launch it though, or preload it if you will, with mentors from all the communities that we support and build and nurture here at the foundation. So if you are interested, please give me your card, give Jen your card, give any one of that you know to be our staff here your card, and I will send you an invitation to get the preload of the app, and we'll get you put into the system as a mentor, and then we'll announce to the world, hopefully in about a week or so, that the app is out there and see what comes of it. It'll be a grand experiment that you'll all be part of, and it'll be yet another thing that was birthed right here in Kansas City that'll hopefully have implications for the world.
Thank you. Nathan Kurtz with Just for Starters.
Hey guys. Just for Starters is next Tuesday. It's at Boulevard Brewery from 5:30 to 8. What Just for Starters is a place for you to come, us as entrepreneurs, come and ask questions. Panelists, 2 are in this room, Matt Watson, Tom Rue. There's 3 other just outstanding panelists that have sold businesses or involved in the community and they've done some great stuff. So free beer, free food. I want to thank our sponsors, the Kauffman Foundation, Missouri Bank, the Missouri Council of Economic Education, and Shining Star Catering. There's a seat limitation due to fire code, so it's free, but go to kcroundtable.com, go to the Just for Starters link, get your ticket. Again, it's free through Eventbrite, but sign up. It's next Tuesday, 5:30 at Boulevard. Thank you.
Thanks. Is the audio on? We are having audio issues this morning.
Oh, this is a video for City Camp. I'll try to narrate it as it goes along. It's an animation and it's
Camp KC 2013. Come create the Kansas City you want. City Camp KC brings together civic makers, hackers, doers, and local government leaders to discuss, imagine, and build the future. City Camp is an unconference. Have an idea for improving Kansas City? Share it at City Camp KC. Choose from 5-minute Ignite talk, 30-minute presentation, or hour-long panel. Join us for 2013 at the Kauffman Foundation. Get your tickets today at citycampkc.org.
Well, I know we had a lot of announcements today, so we're probably going to run a little bit over. Thank you guys very much for your patience and allowing us to do that and connect the community as we try to every week. Up next, we have Pearl Leaves with Kim Gandy and Dean Smith. Pretty excited about this project. This project, I'll let them talk about it more, but helps people manage their medication after they've had a major surgery or visit to the hospital. So get everything rolling nice and quickly here.
Great. Thank you for that invitation, John. So I want to tell you today about Pearl Leaves. And this is a medical software company that's going to change the way that we feel about medical care. I'm going to start with a story to just put us all on the same page. This is the story of Connor. And Connor received a heart transplant at the age of 16. He actually did very well with his transplant. He did all these things that we actually consider the ultimate transplant success story. He moved out from home. He got a job. He started college. But somewhere amidst those big and important transitions, Connor missed some of his medications for a period of about 48 hours. This, unfortunately, was a critical 48 hours because it started a rejection process that resulted in a downward spiral that eventually led to his death. This was the loss of not only a great kid, but this was devastating to the family, to his friends, to the hospital staff, and actually to the entire community, because this kid was no less than a hero in his community. I wish I could tell you that this story was unique, but it's not. I'm going to give you a little bit of a picture of just how big of a place actually medications and non-adherence sort of plays in our lives these days. There are 150 million people in the United States on chronic medications. I think this number may seem staggering to most of us. Literally over 51% of the American population is on chronic meds. This extends across all demographics, so it's not just the elderly. 26 to 28% of kids under 19 are on chronic medications. Up to 30% of women aged 20 to 44 are on chronic medications. And with this, up to 50% of these patients or these people are not adherent with their medical regimens. For patients, these losses are severe. They can be the loss of the quality of life and or death, as in Connor's case. The financial losses are equally as huge and are well appreciated by the pharmaceutical industry that has been following this issue much longer than the rest of us. The pharmaceutical industry estimates that there are $100 to $300 billion lost annually on non-adherence to medical regimens. If you take into account the other costs to our society based on readmissions, complication rates, those estimates now creep up to the range of $500 billion. So we heard this problem, and we designed a solution. So we offer a software solution that is both enjoyable and easily accessible. We have designed smartphone apps, games, web worlds, and ebooks that extend across the variety of software and hardware platforms that we all know that we all have. On the back end of this, we have the ability to personalize and dynamically analyze patients' interactions with these systems to create something that will take a patient through their medical regimens. These solutions extend across all demographics, and they're easily scalable. So as you all know, or many of you guys know, being in the IT community, the back end, the software can move into sort of any sorts of fields with some minor modifications. The things that we have to change in our systems are entirely content-based. To take you a little bit through exactly how our solution works, I want to take you through the story of Terry. So Terry is a 44-year-old woman that works, has a full-time job. She's got 2 kids, and she's busy. But she's been diagnosed with diabetes. But she thinks it's mild. All she really needs is a pill. A doctor told her that she could take a pill, and she needed to check her sugars here and there. So she really doesn't do that often, and she really doesn't keep up with it that often. She's busy. She's tired, but she's like, you know, I do more than I do, so I should be tired. So that's okay. Well, one day, Terry starts to feel numbness in her fingers, and she starts to feel pain in the left side of her hand. And finally, she goes into an emergency room, where they find out that her sugars are not just high, they're through the roof. Well, she gets stabilized, and then she goes back in and she sees her doc. And her doc prescribes the Pearl Leaf solution for her. At the initiation of that, we give her a survey in which she fills out all of her likes, her tastes, her hardware usage, and she even goes through the games, etc., that she uses. We give her a solution that works for her, and then we monitor her. And when she falls off on the adherence regimen that she either designed with us or designed with a collaboration between us and her caregivers, we message her. When she really falls off, we change the entire look and feel of her software with the intent of re-engaging her. And we're doing this based on data she has told us and data that we have accumulated by watching what causes her to use and to not use her software. I want to go through the team that's bringing this solution to you. This is a team that brings over 50 years of experience to this platform. So you've heard a bit about myself, but I am a physician and a scientist. I'm an acknowledged international authority on transplantation and have actually already been considered one of the nation's top docs by U.S. News and World Report. Then I want to move on to Dean, who is our software architect and guru. Dean has over 17 years of experience in medical IT, and he has over 12 years of experience at Cerner. So he provides a valuable background to be able to understand and talk to all these components that we need to bring together to make this solution effective and accessible. And then I want to talk about Sarah, who is our Director of Creative, which we actually think is a huge component of what Pearl Leaves is adding. We believe very significantly in the UI UX of our approach. We believe very significantly in engagement, and I think that's something that we're adding uniquely to the space. Because if you guys, I know a lot of you guys have probably worked with some of the apps out there and some of the other medical regimens, they are boring. I will just go ahead and say that. They very rarely engage you. You walk home from the doctor, and most of the time you put whatever they gave you on the table. If you read it, it's a miracle. If you heard 50% of what they told you when you're in their offices, that's also a miracle. But what Sarah brings is 12 years of experience in Hallmark and 10 years of experience as a successful freelance artist and a huge network of artists in the community that are bringing that engagement platform to us. And these are just some examples of some of the art that she is bringing into the situation. We appear to both those that are interested in color and those that are interested in the technical gadgets that we have out there. This is just one particular example of some of the competitors that are out there. And as you can see, this is just a list of some of the things that we can offer with all the software platforms. And as you can see, many solutions have one or two of these components. But this is our solution, and we have them all. So that's why we are confidently putting forth there that we offer the most creative and comprehensive solution on the market. This is our revenue model. We're going to begin by offering this to hospital divisions. And let me give you an example of how this would happen. So for every 100 patients, we would offer them a subscription model for an adherence package. So we would offer them the entire software package with the personalization of that for their patients, with the monitoring and the analytics. And we would feed back both to the clinicians and to the patients the data that they want or that they need. There are going to be some clinicians that want to follow their patients every day. There are going to be some that I have recently become aware of that really only want to know once a week. And so those needs and desires are all over the spectrum, and we appreciate that, and we'll serve those groups as they want to be served. As you can imagine, as we have more data on the effectiveness of our solutions, those prices may change as well. And as we begin to roll out in between hospital divisions into entire hospital systems, that changes. And so this is a little bit of exactly how the revenue model rolls out. We're starting in the vertical of transplant, and that's because that's where I previously had my clinical experience. We have a huge amount of traction in that particular area. I know the clinicians in most all the hospitals in the United States in that particular arena, and have the ability to roll out there very easily with, I think it's almost an underestimate that we would be able to capture 10% of the market in that particular arena. When we're able to just roll out for that, this will result in revenues of $4 million a year. Well, as we're rolling this out, we're developing content to move into these other three verticals, which actually is a very small change for us. Because as you can imagine, the patients that have heart failure, so any of the patients that had heart transplants had heart failure first. Any of the patients that had renal transplants had renal failure first. So as you can see, as we move into these verticals, they very much overlap where we are here. So it's not a huge jump for us, especially since all we really have to do is have that, develop that content. What you can also see here is that just by going into one more vertical, this doesn't even include renal failure, the revenues go up to only over $20 million with capturing less than 1% of that market. So this is our solution. And again, we think we offer a more creative and engaging and comprehensive solution than any that are on the market. And I would actually like to move on right here just to one, and just as in the last presentation, which I liked, in anticipation that we will be hearing, and I have the ability to ask how the community can help us. I want to start by saying that we're a new company. We started back in July. But we wouldn't be at the point we are now if we didn't already have a tremendous amount of support for this community. And so I want to go ahead and just throw out a shout for some of these names at this point. So Jill Meyer and Jim Baxendale and even Thad, I mean, the people that have provided advice for free is phenomenal. And even Dominique, back in June or July, even before we incorporated, in introducing us to all the resources that the Kauffman Center has to offer. It's incredible. But the model has been that Pearl Leaves heard a problem. So we listened to the patients. We heard a problem. We began to develop our core system. And right now, we are reaching out to this community. We are reaching out to this community and have been already provided tremendous resources within this community. And these are the partnerships we have developed to date. So right now we're moving over our back end of our hardware system, for which a prototype is already available, to 27 Global to take us to the next step. Our games, which we already have games that will be released in 2.5 weeks, we're moving over to Propaganda 3. I mean, we can develop games, and they can be cute. And we have a new idea. Our IP is actually cupping gaming components with medical behaviors. So literally that exact coupling device is something that we've put a patent application on. But we have people here that do games every day, and this is their life. And this has actually added quite a bit to, I think, what we will be able to offer. Most recently, we have been talking with Big Iris, who has tremendous capabilities in the ability to evaluate big data. And as you can imagine, all of this is going to be bringing in big data. And so this is a huge thing when we plan for the future to add to our systems. Engage Mobile. We're recently talking to them about partnering as we start to connect all these systems to peripherals. So in other words, as we're interacting with blood pressure cuffs, as we're using glucometers, as we're working with spirometers. And there are also other groups in the area, such as TextCaster and BodyFit, that I don't really can't go into all the details of all these interactions, but I think the point is that there are tremendous resources here. Part of our pitch to you as a community is to help us identify creative connections to you and to our software and then back to the patients, which will allow us to continue to create a more engaging platform than any that's out there. Thank you very much.
So, Kim, can you tell us,
I'm going to ask Dean to come up and...
real quickly, is there anywhere that this has been rolled out? And then also, we've been kind of going long this morning, so we only have time for probably a handful of questions.
Sure.
But if somebody has a question already, we'll...
Yeah, so can I answer that? Because actually that is one thing that I would have loved to pull out. And so, yes, there are places that this is being rolled out. The first trials are in Stanford in pediatric heart and kidney transplantation, at Duke in lung transplantation. So these two are already planned. The protocols are already written. These are ready to go. They will be launched in the next 6 months. This one is something we actually have a meeting with KU today at 2 o'clock. So we're in the stages of planning this one. And I can't tell you the date. They're right now integrating their EMR, and so, their electronic medical record. So a lot of that will depend on how that sort of moves along. Sorry.
How do you measure actual compliance?
So that's a great question. So, and I think one of the critical questions. So we measure adherence by literally whenever they get a reminder, they go into the system and they can acknowledge that they have taken their meds. If they miss that particular alarm, they can go in later and actually acknowledge that they did take it at that time or they didn't take it because of a certain reason. As you can imagine, there may be a group that might try to game that system for various reasons. And as a result of that, what we've also added is an educational component. So we didn't go through all the details of all the particular software types because there's so many. But literally there's an education component where we push a single educational fact to people based on their disease process and where they are in their educational process every day. And there's a small question that follows that that's easy. Really all it requires is that they have read that question to answer it. But they then answer that question, and that's part of the whole adherence package. So it's not only medications, it's labs, it's appointments. And literally we are expanding this, especially with the games, into all sorts of healthy behaviors. So as far as if a parent wanted to use the games to work with nutrition and or exercise, it's very easily applicable to that.
Question, it's really twofold. Number one of the stats that you listed there was the cost of the pharmaceutical industry, 100 to 300 billion. Is that just in lost sales from consumption of the meds?
Yes.
And number two, going forward with implementation, expansion of your verticals, do you see into 2015 and 2016 the decision maker being transferred from the hospital to the government because of Obamacare? Is that going to be a challenge you're going to face?
I don't think it's going to be a challenge that we're going to face. I think it's going to be a challenge we're going to embrace because as you think about it, so I don't necessarily see those decisions being transferred there. I see the government looking for the best solutions. And so, it's almost like that question was sort of set up for us. But literally one of the things that is really giving us the most traction in the market right now is the fact that the medical institutions, the hospitals, the hospital systems are now more scared than they ever have been about this outcomes analysis. So in other words, they're no longer going to be able to bill just for the services they deliver. They're going to be held accountable for how patients do. So adherence is a big thing. So literally, you can imagine if we develop one of the most effective adherence solutions, you can see where we could go with that. And as a result, we've had a relationship with the head of the VA here in Kansas City. I will be receiving a without compensation appointment there. We will be starting to go through VA data on diabetes and its complications to actually design studies to evaluate endpoints. That was your second question. What was the first question? I didn't get
the loss of revenue. Is that just because of loss of lack
Yes,
of
and I think that's an interesting sort of thing because if you're going through the industry, the people that have been worried about this for the last 5 to 10 years and that are the furthest along in their solutions are the pharmaceutical industries and big pharma. And that is because they have the easiest indice to follow, right? They can see how much is lost just from people not filling their prescriptions. Other things are harder to actually put a price tag on, and that's why you see this huge, I mean, let's face it, the amount of variance between 100 to 300 billion, that's a lot. You know, the amount of variance between 300 to 500 billion, that's a lot. But part of that is because we don't really have in our current medical systems a good way to put a price tag on the loss of a limb. You know, somebody that loses their foot because of complications of diabetes. It's really hard to put a price tag on that. Yes, Matt?
So do the hospitals have adherence systems like this? Is this just a better version, or do they not have anything like this?
They don't have anything like this.
Okay.
And I can tell you that's one of the reasons that this whole project started, one, from watching a couple of kids go down the drain, for lack of a better word without it. The kid that I described was one of my patients. He was one of my kids. That wasn't his name. We obviously don't use their names. But he was one of my patients. And they're not solutions. And there are two things that this offers that's not there. So one, the entire package is more comprehensive. But I think the real thing that really adds to this is the fact that Pearl Leaves puts itself as the intermediary in between the patients and the hospitals. Right now, hospital systems don't have the resources that are necessary to analyze what IT can offer. And being a physician, I can say this unabashedly, we are one of the most IT unsavvy groups that you're going to find. And so IT has gone bonkers in the last 5 years. I mean, the amount of offerings are tremendous. But the amount of data that physicians and healthcare providers have to know and to analyze on a daily basis, it's huge. So just the way that we're putting out all this other amount of data, they have that much to analyze on what they can do to treat their diseases. It's unlikely that we're going to be able to figure out anything in the next 5 to 10 years that's going to turn them into IT whizzes.
Does HIPAA know about your situation?
These are HIPAA compliant systems.
Okay.
All right, so we are designing these as HIPAA compliant systems. It's an interesting way of asking the question, does HIPAA, but yes, these are HIPAA compliant systems, and that is one of the other reasons that right now we are entering through these avenues. So patients come into that system, into the hospital systems, they are de-identified there, and after that point, we know them based on their persona and the things they like, and as a Pearl Leaves identifier.
Super. That is all. Mic's not working, but that's pretty much all the time that we have. We want to be respectful of everybody's times. Come up and see Kim. Keep asking questions. Keep this dialogue going. I know this is a great project.
And can I say one other thing? Please follow us. And we have a new website being released tomorrow afternoon. And please follow us for new product releases and give us your feedback. Let us know what you think.
Okay, so I know that we're running long, but I think you're going to like this one.
get a single
I
question,
need
dude.
Matthew Marcus to come up real quick. So many of you know Matthew Marcus, but what you don't know is today's his 40th birthday, and and I've seen a couple of his tweets go out. Many of us went to Big KC and saw the guy talk for charity water, and anybody that saw that cried. It was the most moving thing, and this guy might have cried more than anybody else, and he's one of the most selfless people I know, and I know that he's done a charity water event for himself, but what he didn't know is that our team is doing one for him, and there's a number of people going around giving out cards. I have a card. We've created a page for him, and our goal is to raise $4,000 for people without water around the world, and this guy, this would be the best birthday present we can all do. So if we can all be a little selfless back like he is for building this community and do something I know he'll remember for a long time. So anyways. And just in case you don't grab a card, it's mycharitywater.org/themarcus. So let's all go and it's a great cause. Let's do it.